In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Marx Edit notebook. Some have said that this notebook's Neo Agenda paper is the ultimate replacement for the original Tomoe River paper. Well, spoiler alert, it's not. But I'll tell you what I like and don't like about this notebook coming up. So here we have the Marx Edit notebook. We'll just do a quick walkthrough and then we'll do a paper comparison with the original Tomoe River and the new Tomoe River. Now, in the A6 size here, these cost $8.75, and in the A5 they're $13.75, and then there's an A4 which I think is around $20. This has the Neo Agenda paper, so it's 52.3 GSM. It has a glue binding, which lays pretty flat, particularly in the middle. It does require a little bit of flexing to get it to lay flat, but it lays flat. And this particular one has a 5mm grid. It's cardstock cover. We have a tape over the binding, which is a glue binding, and 160 pages here, and nothing really on the inside. It just goes straight into the paper. Interestingly, we do have like a dotted, let's see if we can see it here. There is a dotted 5mm grid, but then there's a margin which has these solid lines. I think this is useful, but I don't know, not very good looking. Like, I would have liked to stop it here, so at least you have, I don't know, I just don't like this weird area up here that where you have this box with those solid lines. I think it's a bit strange. The back here, there's some details here. So it's a nice little notebook. I've enjoyed the paper. It works well. A glued binding is not a particularly strong binding. If you're looking for something that's going to last, you want something that is stitched. But, for the price and what you get here, I think this is actually quite a nice package. Looking at the paper test, let's compare it to some original Tomoe River. This is from a defunct company called, I think, Elemental Notebooks, but this is original Tomoe River 52 GSM white. And then we have the familiar Paper Mind Tomoe River hardcover notebook here. This is the Tomoe River Sanzen S paper, and I apologize for the condition of this as cutting pages out of it. So anyway, but the paper is the paper here. So let's take a look and do some comparisons. So looking at the Marx Edit first, if we look at the face of this looks very, very good. Now, one of the things that the original Tomoe River paper did was it had a line smoothing effect that isn't present on the Sanzen Tomoe River or this Marx Edit. And I think if we look closely at these two, this is the Sanzen S Tomoe River, the Paper Mind notebook, and this is the Marx Edit. When it comes to line smoothing, the Tomoe River S is better than the Marx Edit. And then if we look at the original Tomoe River here, this has the most line smoothing, so this will give you the cleanest looking lines, whereas some of the texture of the paper will come out more the Tomoe River Sanzen S and the Marx Edit. I think one of the things that is unique about the original Tomoe River paper is that you got this line smoothing effect without any line spread. Now, papers like Cosmo Air Light and Tron Next also have a line smoothing effect similar to this, but they have line spread. So if you write, with a fine on this paper, the original Tomoe River S, it stays fine, but on the Cosmo Air Light or the Tron Next, it spreads a bit and you get something that's a bit more maybe like a medium or somewhere in between a medium and a fine. So that's just sort of the face of it. In terms of if you like line smoothing, this is going to be the best. If you like a little bit of, that natural paper texture, these two are going to be very good. In terms of the color of the paper, I think that the original Tomoe River S, or sorry, the original 52 GSM white Tomoe River here is the most, well, let's see here. I actually have a white card here. I don't know. Which of these looks the most white to you? I think it is the original Tomoe River. The Tomoe River S and the Marks EDiT. Well, I don't know. You guys tell me which one of these do you think is the most white here? I think it is the original Tomoe River is the most bright white. These two have a bit more of a cooler tone, but if you don't have this to compare it to, both of these are, in my opinion, bright white papers. Now, in terms of the feel of the paper, one of the things about the original Tomoe River that I have here is it's very crinkly. This really does feel like a Bible paper, which is what I believe it was originally designed for. It has that crinkliness to it, where the Sanzen Tomoe River has a bit less of it. It feels thicker, and I think it is thicker, even though these are both 52 GSM, and this is 52.3. I think now this is a smaller piece of paper, so it's not exactly fair. To me, this feels more like the most normal piece of paper. This feels the least crinkly, this feels the most stiff, and it feels the thickest. Now, this is not a scientific way to do it, but just from a feeling perspective, most crinkly and thin, then the next, and then the least here. So that's where we are with that. Now, looking at the paper test, this is interesting, I think. So here we have the original Tomoe River, and then we have the Tomoe River S. And so comparing these, the Tomoe River, the original one, I think they're very close, and with fountain pens, they are pretty much equal. I think we see a little bit more spotting on the original Tomoe S with this very wet, very unforgiving Pilot 2.4 millimeter parallel pen. However, it did come through in both of these papers. They did it a little bit differently, but for fountain pens, I really think that these are almost equal. This has way more ghosting than the Tomoe River Sanzen S, the new Tomoe River. Now, this does have a white pigment printed on it. I don't believe that this did. The other thing is, you can feel the impression of the pens much more on the old Tomoe River. And, if you look, you can feel it onto the other side of the page, whereas on the new Tomoe River, I don't really feel the indentation from writing on this side of the sheet, on this side of the paper, like you do here. So that's just one of those things that you either love or hate about this original Tomoe River is you're going to add a lot more texture to the page by writing on one side. So if you are writing on both sides, this is going to be more of a no-go for a lot of people, whereas this is going to be a little bit more forgiving. Now, it's interesting. I would say comparing these two, again, the old versus the new, performance is very similar. I think we saw some more strong dotting on the Auto Fude ball and the Pentel Energel on this. However, it came through, it penetrated in more places on this. So for roller balls, I don't know. It could go either way as to which is better. For fountain pens, I think they're pretty much equal. For the troublemaker pens, we did see a bit more penetration on the original Tomoe River, whereas the new Tomoe River, held back a bit, like on the Sharpie and the Copic. Like we didn't get any bleed through onto the other side, whereas we did with the Copic a bit. Again, this doesn't really matter for regular use. You're not going to be using permanent markers. The Pilot High-Tech Point is an interesting one. This is a roller ball, like just kind of a standard roller ball, but it's a 1.0 millimeter, and it annihilated this original Tomoe River paper. Whereas on this paper, it was still a problem, the new Tomoe River Sanzen S, but it held up much better. I wouldn't write on either side. So, interesting performance here. I think both of these papers are really fantastic. All right, now let's go to the Marks EDiT. This in my opinion, performed the worst out of these papers. The Pilot Parallel just totally did not hold up to this paper at all. The Oto Fudiball and the Uniball Air Micro really came through quite a lot. Pentel Energel was a problem for sure. I also just feel like there's more ghosting. Well, I don't know. What do you guys think? Is there more ghosting on this paper than the Tomoe River Sanzen? I think there is, but maybe that's some of these things become a little bit trickier. We did get a lot more penetration onto the other page from the permanent markers and even the Pilot Parallel, which we didn't see on the other two papers. I saw a video where somebody was saying that this is supposed to be like a great alternative to the original Tomoe River. Like, yes, but the Tomoe River Sanzen S is a superior paper to this, I think, in pretty much every way. Whereas when you compare it to the original Tomoe River, I think the original Tomoe River, it still has that specialness that just isn't really replicated. This, I think, is closer to this than the Mark's edit paper by a lot, but it still feels more like a little bit more of a normal paper. However, I do think that the performance here on actually all three of these papers is fantastic with fountain pens, as long as you're not using a Pilot Parallel pen. That really didn't work on this. Is this a replacement for the old Tomoe River? No, and it's not as good as the new Tomoe River. I think in a lot of ways the new Tomoe River is superior to the old one, but if you really love that crinkliness and you love that line smoothing effect, which I do appreciate, the original Tomoe River is still its unique thing. Each of these are different papers. You know, the new Tomoe River is made on a completely different machine, completely different formula. It is a different paper. What it's trying to do is capture some of the characteristics that made this useful in a book with a lot of pages. I will say, I do believe that both of these papers, the Mark's Edit and the Tomoe River Sanzen, both 52 GSM or 52.3, these are thicker papers than the original Tomoe River. I think this is still the thinner paper here. Okay, that is it. So what are my pros and cons for the Mark's Edit notebook? So ignoring the comparison to any Tomoe River paper, this is a really nice notebook. It's well priced, $8.75. For this, you get 160 pages. The paper is thin and fountain pen friendly. It's well made. You know, the glue binding is not the most durable type of binding. Like, I wouldn't expect this, you know, this isn't something that's going to be around probably in 100 years. Not that that matters for most people, but it's not the most durable binding. So if you want something to last or you're really hard on it, you should probably go for a stitched or even a staple bound binding would be stronger than this, but it does lay flat. The paper is really nice. However, it doesn't really compare to the Tomoe River, the original Tomoe River, that well. And the Tomoe River Sanzen S, the current Tomoe River paper, is also superior to this when it comes to fountain pen performance, opacity. I also think that it's thicker than the new Tomoe River Sanzen. I think if you want a Tomoe River alternative, you're going to want the Tomoe River Sanzen S. It is thinner, the fountain pen performance is better. I think the opacity is better, and it feels more crinkly to me. The one thing that both the Tomoe River Sanzen S and the Mark's Edit paper don't do is the line smoothing the same way that the original Tomoe River had. But I will say these papers both have more opacity than the original Tomoe River. But for holding up to fountain pen ink and rollerballs, this is inferior to the original Tomoe River and the current Tomoe River Sanzen S by quite a big margin. So people saying that this is a replacement for Tomoe River, it's like, yes, it is technically the same weight, but it's thicker and the performance is worse, which for the Tomoe River Sanzen S, I'd say actually the performance is better, whether the huge fans of the original Tomoe River like it better or not, that is personal preference because they are still very different papers. However, just objectively, with pens, all types of pens, the new Tomoe River Sanzen S is superior from a bleeding perspective and an opacity perspective. Okay, that's it. Do you guys have this notebook? Do you like this notebook? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more fountain pen paper printing videos, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much, and until next time.